Welcome back to the Independent Republic of Mike Graham right here on Talk Radio. Now available, of course, on television as well as on the radio. Apple TV, Rakuten, Samsung TV Plus, Roku, YouTube. Now we're on Amazon Fire as well, and we are all over the place, including en France, which is where we're about to go to speak to Charles-Henri Gallois, president of Generation Brexit, because there's a lot going on over there. We want to catch up with what's been happening in the last few months, of course, as well. Go to talkradio.tv, find our page there, or in fact go to the App Store and just download the Talk Radio TV app. Now let us say a very good morning and bonjour to Charles-Henri Gallois. Charles-Henri, very good morning to you. Welcome.
Hello, Mike. Good morning.
Nice to see you. Now, I know it's been a hard old year for you guys, but over in France, they finally finished us off by telling us not to come to France. Non merci. We're not allowed to enter your country until such time as they think that we're now well enough to come. So how are things? How is the Christmas lead-in? How are things going?
Well, you have some restriction and quite heavy restriction. You know that they have passed vaccine passport in France. It will be in January. Before that, you had the sanitary passport. I think this kind of measure is quite, let's say, overreaction and discriminatory measures, because normally if you are in a democratic country, you try to persuade your people that what you are doing is right. And if you are an authoritarian regime, you impose things, and that's the way the French government is acting, in a quite authoritarian way, and I disagree honestly on the method.
Yes, absolutely right. And meanwhile, Emmanuel Macron is still not happy. He's not happy with the UK, he's not happy with the US, he's not happy with the EU. What is he happy about?
Nothing himself, I would say. No, honestly, Macron is a disaster on many things. He has bad relationship with many different countries. He does many things in the interest of the EU, but it does not defend the international interests of France. So he has bad relation with everyone without defending the French national interest. So it's a disaster on all the internal ownership perspective.
Absolutely right. And I mean, we have had a very interesting year, obviously, with the whole business with COVID, with the problems that have been caused across Europe. We've had the migrant issue, which is still unresolved. We still have people arriving even today on the shores of the UK, having left Normandy a few hours ago. We have the fishing dispute still going on. We now have no proper Brexit negotiator. Lord Frost has resigned, and now you're going to be stuck with Liz Truss to see whether that can make any difference. What's it going to be like, do you think, in the new year?
I think for the, let's say, the fishing issue, it would stay the same, basically, because the French government should blame the EU, because the EU has negotiated contrary to what the mainstream media is saying in France, because they tell the storytelling of the government. The British actually are just applying the deal strictly, but they apply the deal. If you cannot prove that you were fishing between 2012 and 2016, you cannot fish on the issue, and they should have known it during the negotiation. In the French fleet, you have many legal boats without recording systems, so they cannot prove they were fishing there. So they should blame Michel Barnier, they should blame the EU for bad negotiation, but now the British are just applying the deal.
Right.
So I think it will quite stay the same. Maybe Boris Johnson will give some more licenses, but I don't think that he will give everything, but it's normal, it was negotiated like this. And I think if it was a bilateral agreement, a bilateral negotiation between Great Britain and France, we would have a better deal, because we have many common interests in terms of fishing, because we share basically the channel. We know that many fishes, they raise, let's say, in the French part of the coast, and they go to the UK, so we have common interests that you export as well many fishes in French. So I'm quite sure we could have a win-win relationship, but without the EU in the middle. And actually, the French fishermen, they have the same issue as the British one, because the French waters will be, let's say, enough normally, but we have all Belgian, Netherlands, Danish fishermen that are fishing in the French waters. So the water is now tiny to many fishermen. So we have some common interests also in fishing, and it's a pity to negotiate through the EU.
Yeah. And one of the reasons we're talking, Charles-Henri, is this documentary which is doing the rounds on Brexit. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's a great documentary that will be released in France. Hopefully, it will start to be recorded in January, because we are in the middle of crowdfunding to raise funds to do this documentary. Basically, the concept is to show Brexit through ordinary people. It won't be Femi, it won't be Jamie Miller. It will be ordinary people. It can be a policeman, a fisherman, to explain what are the consequences of Brexit for them, or what are the advantage of Brexit for them. Because, as you may know, in the French mainstream media, it's a total disaster, let's say, the coverage of Brexit, because they will only show one empty shell and they will say it's because of Brexit. It's a total disaster. You don't have, let's say, a proper vision of Brexit, or what all the advantages of Brexit are to take back control. And this documentary, which will be also subtitled in English, normally, is to show the real face of Brexit, and to show on the continent what are, let's say, the advantages to take back control. And that could be an inspiration to France, obviously, for Brexit, but also to the whole continent to take back their freedom. You had during the Brexit referendum a Brexit movie. So this one will be, let's say, the post-Brexit documentary to explain to the continent what is the reality of Brexit. So if your auditor as well want to contribute, it's a partnership between Ruptures and Populaire, and there is on Populaire a crowdfunding. It's not let's say, a huge amount of money. We are raising 50,000 euros to do this documentary. It will be done, of course, in the UK, and to talk to all the people, to have a real vision of Brexit, and to show to the French people that it's not the disaster, because we have like a post-project free in France to say you don't have to leave, because if you do like the UK, it will be the disaster. But if you look at the fact, actually, and you remember the project fair in the UK, they told that unemployment will rise with the city, will leave London. They have told that it will be a recession from the morning after the referendum. All this argument, all this project fear has been wrong, actually. And when they say that, sometimes, maybe it's the same in UK, I don't know, but in French, they are saying the Brexit was done based on lies. But if you look at the facts, the lies were definitely on the Remain sign. All the apocalyptic pictures that they were selling, it's not happening. So it can be also an occasion to show this and to show the reality. It will be very, very interesting, I think.
Yes, I think so. And what about Christmas in France, Charles-Henri? Is it going to be difficult for a lot of people, a lot of families not able to move around? What's the restriction level like?
No, normally for Christmas, unless they change again and they announce some restriction, but normally it would be okay to celebrate Christmas with different families. The bars and restaurants are also open. The only restriction, which is a big one, if you go out, you don't do it in your families. Let's say the sanitary pass, but which was there. But otherwise, normally it will be okay to do Christmas. And actually, I think all the European countries are overreacting about Omicron, because it happened in November 23rd. And if you look at the figures in Botswana or South Africa, you don't have more deaths. Actually, you have less deaths than during the previous waves. And you have many cases, right? But maybe if Omicron is more contagious, but it's a mild variant, it will be a very good news, because if it's more contagious, it will erase the other variants that may be more dangerous, that will cause more deaths, and it can be a good news. So I think, obviously, you have to be cautious. you have to not to do the bad thing. But I think all the European countries are definitely overreacting on Omicron. It's like 1 month in Botswana and South Africa, and you don't have a surge of deaths. So you should be cautious, but you shouldn't overreact how we are doing right now.
No, of course. Well, listen, Charles-Henri, have a lovely Christmas. Bon joyeux à Noël. And we'll see you in the new year, after Christmas, after New Year, after the parties, after the family time, after all of the things that we hope will bring good cheer to all of you right here on the Independent Republic of Mike Graham. We've got lots more to do. We've got some calls to take. We'll take your calls. If you've got something to moan about, you've got something to cheer about, you've got some information for us, anything you've got, we'll take it right here on Talk.